Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Didi Leoni, and I'm Bruno Leoni's daughter. Unfortunately, he died when I was a little girl, but I remember him so well.
Quando è mancato mio marito avevo dunque 37 anni. Sì, avevo 37 anni. E dico la verità, senza falsa modestia, da allora in poi potevo anche incoraggiare qualcuno, per dire, persone tutte degnissime, Però quando era il momento di dare questo incoraggiamento anche piccolissimo, imparziale, io mi scappavo. Scappavo, mi tiravo via, non volevo sapere niente, perché il mio matrimonio era stato così bello, così completo, così al di sopra di tutte le cose che sento raccontare anche da molti altri, specialmente in questi tempi, che non ho voluto rischiare. Non so come dire, perché lui mi ha detto: ma lei signorina, dice, ha ricevuto un mazzo di fiori ieri. Io, siccome in quel momento ero un po' innamorata di un mio coetaneo e pensavo che il mazzo di fiori me l'avesse mandato lui, ho detto sì, dico sì, veramente sì. Gliel'ho mandato io, ha detto. Si vede che ha chiesto il mio indirizzo, non so come. E io ho detto, dico, ma guarda un po', questo qua viene un appuntamento con un furgoncino che diceva votate qui, votate là, e quindi mi sono arrabbiata parecchio. Lui ci informava cosa c'era di bello da vedere, perché lui insegnava a Pavia e quindi non conosceva Pavia ma non Piacenza, eccetera, eccetera. Insomma, io da quel momento lì non me lo sono più tolto.
I like to think of him as a man of the Renaissance, as a scientist. His great ideas are so inspiring and so modern, even today.
Bruno Leoni joined the Montpellier Society in the 50s. He was a lawyer, he was a political and legal scholar in Italy. Therefore, he was pretty lonely as a classical liberal in our country. He befriended Hayek, he joined the Montpellier Society, and he got to know people like Jim Buchanan, who then was a lifelong friend, Ronald Coase, Milton Friedman. Belonging to the Montpellier Society for Leoni was a unique opportunity. Classical liberalism was almost exhausted in Italy. The only prominent classical liberal around was President Luigi Einaudi. Of course, Luigi Einaudi was a very important but a very old man. He was a teacher of Bruno Leoni. Leoni studied under Einaudi when he was at the University of Turin. Nonetheless, as he got into the Montpellier Society, Leoni had a unique opportunity to refresh his own idea, to get in touch with a magnificent number of scholars from the US, Germany, England, and so on and so forth. And he raised to prominence also within the Montpellier Society as he became president of the society in 1967, which is unfortunately the year of his death.
We were supposed to move with my mother and my father to the United States because my father was a visiting professor there and he was supposed to teach in the States. And I remember his friends, his great friends, people like von Hayek, people like Milton Friedman. I was a little girl, but I remember them so well.
Freedom and the Law, which is his most important book, is built upon a comparison. The comparison in between legislation. Legislation is a manufacture, is an artifact. It is planned by legislators. And common law, Roman law. Common and Roman law were basically the output of a series of interaction of human beings. I mean, people resorted to judges in order to solve their own disputes. This way, law developed precedent by precedent. In this view, law was basically something that was to be discovered and not enacted. This is the key difference, and according to Bruno Leoni, a law that is discovered and not enacted is really better suited to preserve individual liberty. One very important element in the classical liberal tradition is this idea of spontaneous orders. Spontaneous order, of course, may sound like a contradiction in terms, but actually makes reference to the fact that many orders we see in our life are actually spontaneous. They were not planned, they were not designed, they're out there, even though individual actors are any and each of them pursuing their own goal. I mean, somehow an order in this sense is an externality, is a byproduct of spontaneous actions by individuals. You may say that an order in this sense is a growth. It's not a plan, it's not a manufacture. It's something that springs out of individuals getting together, higgling, bargaining, exchanging. Leoni started to plant into Hayek's mind the seeds for those ideas that came to be the ideas of Hayek in Law, Legislation and Liberty, which is a book that is deeply in debt with Bruno Leoni. There is a small essay by Leoni which is entitled The Law as Individual Claim, the very basis of law. You get individual claims, claims that individuals want other individuals to respect. And he pushed forward the idea that at the very basis of a juridical norm, it doesn't lie, really, the concept of command, but the demand for respect of their dignity, of some basic rights on the part of some individuals towards other individuals and vice versa. Of course there is conflict, of course there is a bargaining process, but this may be useful to understand better the whole concept of the law as a spontaneous order. It was Bruno Leoni that suggested this idea to Hayek, and this may explain why actually Hayek's viewpoints change greatly in between the Constitution of Liberty and his last, most important political book, Law, Legislation and Liberty. The ideas of Hayek in Law, Legislation and Liberty are deeply in debt with Bruno Leoni.
Durante la guerra lui si prese la pericolosissima cosa di andare alla ricerca degli ufficiali e dei soldati alleati, nascosti da famiglie di italiani, da famiglie che li avevano ospitati, però a un bel momento sarebbero stati scoperti e quindi certamente rimessi al muro, e lui si è incaricato di raccoglierli e di imbarcarli, che se li avessero già erano stati scoperti e quindi erano stati già individuati, però sarebbero stati messi al muro subito, insomma, per dire. Lui ha salvato ed è stato riconosciuto in Inghilterra per questo suo salvataggio.
He was such an extraordinary man. He loved all the beautiful things in life. He loved art and music and good food and wine and of course politics. We're celebrating his 100th birthday, but I think my father can still inspire a lot of us.
Guardi, se fosse qui adesso sarebbe uno spettacolo continuo, perché lui aveva l'abilità di parlare anche usando delle espressioni ironiche, eccetera, ma di dire tutta la verità sempre, a chiunque, a chiunque.